So I think the participants should please put on your videos. We'll be starting in a minute. Please put on your videos. All participants, all participants, please put on your videos.
Very good morning to everyone present here. Welcome to District. Think smart before you start. I'm Vidhi Hetan of Class 12, the event director for this event. Today, we have 8 esteemed institutions with us for the final round of the event. Participants shall be given a maximum time limit of 5 minutes to pitch their business plan. At the end of 4 minutes and 30 seconds, a message shall be sent in the chat box prompting them to end the speech. Thereafter, the judges shall be asking them questions. After the judges' interaction takes place, the participants will get a chance to scrutinize the presenting school. For this process to take place after every judge's interaction, I will ask, are there any questions on the floor? Schools are requested to raise their hands. The first school that appears on my screen shall go ahead and ask their question. Every school will be asked one question only. Before we proceed, let me introduce the honorable judges for today. The first judge for our event is Dr. Muktis Sarkar, a medical practitioner for the last 37 years, was an All India scholar in 1971. He did his schooling from Scindia School, Gwalior, with a scholarship. He works as a doctor for ITC Royal Ensign, Hyatt Regency, Novotel, Westin, that is Great Eastern, and many more. He is into a lot of social work, like doing medical camps in remote areas of Sundarbans, and is working as a medical director for Future Hope India. The second judge for our event is Dr. Partho Pratim Pal, professor at the Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, is a PhD in economics from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Before joining IIM, he worked with the Indian Council for University Before joining IIM, he worked with the Indian Council for Research in International Economics Relations and the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. His recent areas of interest include international trade, regional trade agreements, WTO-related issues, and international capital flows. He has a number of publications in nationally and internationally reputed journals and books. I would like to request our judges to say a few words.
It's a good audience out here. Welcome to everybody. We're looking forward to seeing all the young talent speaking. We are very eager to hear what's happening, and this score will be later, but the presentations are very good in all participants and this age group. Wishing them all best of luck and best wishes with their presentations.
Good morning, guys. I went through some of the presentations, most of your presentations, and they were excellent. And as you know, the world is going through an unprecedented crisis now, and we need to have some kind of an interesting solutions for coming out of this pandemic, right? And some of your presentations will be tackling about those issues. So we want to have a balance between the district that you have chosen, a little bit of information, a little bit of analysis about that district, and your project in the context of that district and the speciality of that district. Okay, so look forward to it. Some of the presentations were excellent, and I'm sure during your presentations you will be highlight your project in an even better manner. Okay, so all the best.
Thank you, sir, for such inspiring words. We are extremely honored and blessed to have you with us here this morning. We welcome you all to be a part of MEWA family. As and when we call upon the schools, all three participants are requested to kindly raise their hands so that we can spotlight them easily. Without further ado, let us welcome our first school, Akshar School. I would request the participants to kindly share their screen.
Good morning. Can the participant screen sharing be enabled? Good morning, respected judges and our fellow participants. We, the students of Akshar, would like to present to you our idea, Krishi Praburdhuk. The name of our idea, Krishi Praburdhuk, loosely translates to Farmers Initiative. As per a case study by Mr. Suman Kumar Kundu on the inland fishing activities of Kumarganj area of Dakshin Dinajpur, we deduce that there is a apparent drift between the fishing and the farming community of the said region. To explain our business model in brief, we aim at providing natural fertilizers through the technology of aquaponics and in turn generate employment and promote fraternity and togetherness amongst the people of Kumarganj. Since Kumarganj is located around the perennial river Atrai, there is a continuous supply of fishes, which will serve as a vital component of our natural fertilizers. We aim at raising our finance through the annual membership fees of Rs 3,000 per farmer and the personal contribution of each member. It is time to give back to nature. Our business plan is extremely eco-friendly and sustainable. Living in the 21st century, it is absolutely vital to provide employment facilities to women. As per the 2011 census, Dakshin Dinajpur has a high female to male ratio. Thus, resources available should be optimally allocated. Now, coming to our key activities, the fishermen of the said region will catch fishes of various varieties. Through the technology of aquaponics, the fish feces and the fish waste can be converted to natural liquid fertilizer. This fertilizer will be priced at Rs 500 per liter. The fertilizer then made will be used to grow crops of different varieties. The region of Kumarganj grows jute in abundance. Then we have other cash crops too, like paddy, rice, wheat, oilseeds, pulses, etc. The jute will be used for making handicrafts. Women will be engaged in such activities. The crops then grown will be used for community kitchen. By that we mean the member farmers and their families will come together to cook a meal. The food will not only be provided to the member families and farmers, but also to those in need. It is absolutely vital to provide a person with a square meal during these times. After the community kitchen is organized, we will also organize several hearts and fairs through which our organic produce of fruits and vegetables alongside the jute handicrafts will be sold.
Our business idea is extremely feasible due to the low investment required. Despite the financial aspect, there are several other benefits. Employment provision to fishermen, farmers, and women. Employment generation during these times serves as a vital parameter of growth. Women empowerment is promoted through the job provisions, which is essential looking at the high female to male ratio in 2011 census. Our association will enable region of Kumarganj to become a self-reliant in relation to primary sector. There is smart technology as we are using the idea, which is inexpensive. Through provisions of an association, we enable the sense of belongingness and togetherness. Giving the present day motto, we are all in this together. Thus, establishment of a community is essential.
As for the marketing strategy, advertising will be done through social media, vis-a-vis Instagram and Facebook. We would aim to popularize our idea through the West Bengal government's website. Through posters, banners, and word of mouth, we can spread the idea of our association too. The 4 pieces of aquaponics machinery will be purchased from Master Engineers Pune at 45,000 per piece. Our organic reduce and jute crafts will be sold via hearts and exported to different Asian and European countries. Fertilizers will be sold to farmers and other agro-based industrialists. SWOT analysis is self-explanatory, so we would kindly request you to go through it. To start our business idea, we will be requiring 15,60,000 rupees. This includes the electricity charges, machinery charges, wages, transportation charges, advertisement charges, and miscellaneous expenses. The funds will be gathered by the partners. The partners will be contributing 4,60,000 each. We will also be getting the membership fee from 60 farmers, which equals to 1,80,000. We will be earning by selling fertilizers, organizing hearts, and exporting organic produce. At the end of the first year, we expect to earn 17,30,000. Thus, we will be earning a profit of 1,70,000 at the end of the first year. Here is the end of our pitch. Now, we are open to questions.
Nice presentation. The concept of aquaponics is very new, right? So, are you aware about how many aquaponic systems are there presently in this in the country or West Bengal or wherever you're thinking at? How common is aquaponics? Is it a happening thing or is it a very new concept?
I would like to take up this question. We consider that aquaponics, yes, it is a new technology, but since it's available in a region like Pune, which is developed, but in a region like Pune, which is towards the coast, it is absolutely essential to provide such technology since fishes are definitely available there too. So given India as a country, it's absolutely vital for a region like Kumarganj to also use this technology since it's also partially developed. So it's a new concept for India, but I think we could develop Kumarganj by using this technology and also promote it to the Indian economy at large in our future.
Okay. What are the types of fertilizers that you expect to get out of this system?
I would like to take up that question too. Fish feces are extremely rich in ammonia and nitrogen. So if we use those fish feces and especially the waste that is procured after the fish is cut, we could generate it, we could absorb the nitrogen, ammonia, and other nutrients that are also available, which will be very useful for the region river Atrai, which is already very fertile, but this could help in depositing nutrients.
How are you able to motivate your base of people whom are going to work with, your villagers, your people who are doing aquaponics, people who are doing your agriculture based on your fertilizers? How are you going to motivate them? How are you going to get them into the mainstream, into accepting your ideas?
We not only aim at providing fertilizers, our idea is establishing a community at large. As per the case study that I had mentioned earlier, there is a drift between the farming and fishing community. Given today's scenario, it is vital to establish a community because we are all in this together. For them to have a community or a sense of belonging, it's absolutely essential. And as for the agriculturists, there is an association called Krishi Vidyalaya located in the Dakshin Dinajpur district also. So we can procure those agriculturists from there because it's a government college. So they would be more than willing to spread this idea of agriculture and develop the primary sector at large.
Okay. Any question, Rapal?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Good presentation, liked it. So basically what you are saying that you guys pay us a little bit more and we will help you move away from inorganic fertilizers towards organic fertilizers, right? And therefore, yeah, so therefore it will have two positive angles. First, the sustainability will improve of the land, right? And secondly, they will probably be able to fetch higher prices for their organic products compared to normal farming, farming with chemical fertilizers, right? So that is broadly what you can motivate them to bring into your project. So where will they sell it?
I'll take that question. The fertilizers will be sold to all the farmers living in Dakshin Dinajpur. Like we'll be selling the liquid fertilizers to all the people.
Not that. I'm asking, when the farmers use the fertilizers to grow organic products, where will they sell their products? Because if everybody locally is using the same technology, you cannot sell it to each other, right?
So we are organizing paths and everything where we will sell our products, and the product will also be exported to Asian and European countries.
Yeah. Now that is the second question. Probably you do not know that for exports, there is a huge amount of standards that you need to go through, especially if you're exporting to European countries. So for the timing, I think it will be realistic if you target cities and other cities in West Bengal and other cities within the country. Therefore, you do not have to face any standard related issues. But exports is a different kettle of fish altogether. You need to go through lots of procedures. So in your project, keep exports out for the timing. Okay. Otherwise, I think you need to think a little bit more about marketing. Otherwise, it's an excellent project. I liked it. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback, sir. We appreciate it.
Are there any more questions on the floor? Mr. Aritra Mukherjee, you may go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for the recognition. Now, brilliant pitch, but then when you look at a pitch like this, right, this pitch, the concept of aquaponics itself is very centrally developed as a government scheme itself, known as the Development of Inland Fisheries and Aquaculture Scheme, right? And the government provides this very thing for free. Why would the farmers who make what 6,000 rupees a month on average, right? Why would the farmers not go for the government scheme, which is providing them this very thing for free, and they would go ahead and go for your scheme and pay for something which they can barely afford when they can barely afford their household income?
I would like to take up that question. We are not only providing this facility of aquaponics, provision of food through community kitchen is also absolutely vital and essential during this time. So instilling the feeling of fraternity is also extremely important, and will also help in developing the nutrients of the soil. So aquaponics, yes, it's a new facility, and Dakshin Dinajpur, especially Kumarganj, is one of the regions which receives highest government grants. So we could partner with the West Bengal government and work as a partnership at large. So it's not like it's government versus us.
Ma'am, may I have a follow-up?
So you can only ask one question. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Akshay School. The next school is Birla Bharati. I request Mr. Kush Barua to kindly switch on his video. Participants, you may share your screen.
A very good morning to my honorable judges, teachers, and my fellow friends. My name is Kush Barua. I'm from LLC and I'm representing Birla Bharati. We have been allotted the Aurangabad district in Bihar business plan. We present you the project world of organic farming. The meaning of Sattvic is that it is pure and divine, represents organic farming, as organic farming is also chemical-free and does not cause any pollution. Our business plan. Our business plan includes an app which connects the farmers to the millions of buyers, and also it connects the organic buyers to the farmers. We'll incorporate the diversified product portfolio such as organically grown crops, medicinal plants, and herbs and organic manures. We will provide demo tutorials to the farmers about organic farming. And the Aurangabad district has a very vast area of alluvial soil, which also helps in irrigation. We can even reach the remotest areas through our app and its unique features, and organic farming itself, as it requires a very less amount of water. So we are helping the nature in some way. Our business also removes the hindrance of predominance of intermediaries. Now I'm going to tell about the app. The app will help the farmers to connect with the suppliers. The app will be developed in various regional languages such as Hindi, English, Bhojpuri, Bengali, and other regional languages to help our customers reach us better. The modes of payment will be credit, debit cards, cash on delivery, and bank payment options. Linking farmers with the growing number of consumers is also a concern. Promos and discounts will also be available with the subsequent purchases. Now, how will we advertise it? Advertisement will be done on social platforms and also OTT platforms, that is over-the-top platforms. Also, the farmers will spread word of mouth when they will gain confidence about organic farming. We will give them organic manure in credit. It will not only improve the crops, but it will also attract more customers. Here, the customers means the farmers who will take our fertilizers from the manufacturers. Now about the vision, mission, and objectives and goals about our business plan. Our vision is to become the organic giant of the whole world, such as Whole's Fargate market. Also, to make the organic market completely organized in India, as it is a bit unorganized right now. And our mission is to create awareness of the potential benefit of organic farming and to spread our business in an international level. The objectives are to tie up with the ICAR, that is the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, production placement and promotion, to read from reach to the local to the national level. That will help us to cater the needs of the nation. The goals of our business plan is to change patterns so we don't have to depend on the climatic conditions and think about it that what crop we will grow next. Now the finance. Our partnership is we have a partnership of 3 members, and each member will give 10 lakhs. Our initial CAGR, that is the compounded annual growth rate, may be less gradually, but maybe less in the first few years, but gradually it will rise up to 19%. The payback period is estimated to 4 years, that we will get the invested money back by 4 years. The SWOT analysis. We have a lot of strengths that are healthy and eco-friendly, and also it boosts our immunity. No chemicals are used, so no pollution will be there. The geographical location of Aurangabad, Bihar is also very good as it is a very vast area, and also it is full of alluvial soil. The weaknesses are high production cost, but it will get reduced in the upcoming years, so we don't have to worry about it for right now. Small supply, promotes healthy lifestyle, has a huge global market both nationally and internationally. The threats apprehended are variability in climate change and pests and disease incidents in our crops. Thank you.
Participant, please stop sharing the screen.
Okay. Will anyone else say something else, or are we finished?
So it's done.
Okay. Now, a few things I found about this. You are trying to give acceleration to organic farming. And for that, you want to develop an app, right? Neither have you said anything about the app which you're trying to develop, what features the app has. You're trying to connect an app to organic farming. So you have not said anything about organic farming. You're not saying anything about the app. You just said how the app can help the organic farming. That's the only point you have said in all things. So building an app may be a good idea, but then you should have given some more details about what you want to develop in the app. What are the points you want to add in the app which will help? Your presentation is about developing an app only, but neither have you detailed on the app, neither have you detailed upon the fertilizers or how you connect the app with the fertilizers, natural fertilizers. That's what I found. There seems to be a disconnect between what you're trying to develop and how it's going to affect the people. The connect is missing. Building an app is very good, right? Apps are very important in today's life. But then if you're trying to build an app, you should have given more weightage to what the app will have, what contents and how things will happen, so that how things will be the thing. You just said, I'm going to develop an app and by which I'm going to help sell fertilizers and everything else. It's a good concept, but you have details are missing out here on either on the app side or on the fertilizer side. There's a bit of disconnect on that. Okay, that's what I felt. Rapal, your take.
Yeah, you want to remove intermediaries, right? And that is, we all want that. Lesser amount of middlemen will improve both the farmer side as well as the consumer side. But the problem is, in farming, most of the inputs are bought on credit. You know that? Because when the farmers do the farming, they do not have their income then. So what they will do typically is that they will borrow money. They will use the borrowed money to buy the fertilizer from some intermediary. And that is the reason why we see so many intermediaries in the rural sector. So if you want to remove them, how will you provide the farmers money to buy your intermediate goods or inputs or fertilizers? Do you have any provision for that? Because essentially the farmers, when they do the farming, they do not have their money. They only get the money at the end of the farming, right? So there is an income expenditure mismatch between their income flows.
So I would like to take up that question. So in the initial years, while we will give the organic organic manures and the organic fertilizers to the farmers, we will offer them credit. We will directly offer them credit and also teach them how to do the organic farming and also provide some education on it. And also we will directly do that product farming and developing and marketing like that. So we will offer first them credit.
But have you taken that into account when you calculated your CAGR of 19%?
Yes, so the CAGR in the initial years will be less, but since the cost of production is high. But in the after few years, after 4-5 years, since organic farming will help the soil get fertile at its own place, since organic farming is like that directly linked to nature. So I think the CAGR will be increased to 19% after a few years.
Okay.
Are there any more questions? Participants? Mr. Bhavesh Raj, you may ask a question.
How do you think that this idea is useful in the current situation, in the pandemic?
I would like to answer this. So first of all, in this pandemic area, this pandemic time, no one can go out and everything is done online. So we are creating an app which will help the farmers to stay at their home and do all the things to connect with the manual suppliers and all, so they don't have to go out or anything to do it. So it also helps the farmers in the pandemic times to connect with the people not going outside, and it will also help them also. We will also give them the manuals and fertilizers, the natural fertilizers which are needed in cheaper cost, so they are getting benefited from everywhere.
Thank you for the presentation, Birla Bharti. The next school is Birla Divya Jyoti Siliguri.
Am I clearly audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Around 1.5 lakh tons of stubble is produced in the district of Mayurbhanj every year alone. Due to the burning of stubble, 290 million kgs of carbon dioxide is emitted. Good morning, everyone. I am Dasha Agarwal, along with
And Devesh Kayan.
we are representing Birla Divya Jyoti School, Siliguri. The district which is allotted to us is Mayurbhanj, Odisha, which has agriculture-based economy. Our company, Sattva Enterprise, which goes by the tagline, right from the field to plate, looks forward to solve the issue of stubble burning. Stubble has high silica content and therefore cannot be used for cattle feed and etc. It takes around 2 months to decompose, and hence farmers tend to burn the stubble as to make the field ready for the next harvest. Our company will sell a new technology to a cluster of villages. This new technology can convert the stubble waste to biodegradable plates. The cluster will be able to afford the technology by using MSc CDP scheme, which is Cluster Development Scheme provided by the Government of India. This scheme will provide them, it will help them with 70% of the finances of the capital investment. And if it is owned by women or by scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, then the scheme will provide or will help them with 90% of the finances needed, which includes lands, machinery, etc. One supervisor from our company will be employed in each cluster. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's look into some problems with solutions of the district.
Firstly, the issue of stubble burning. We won't get involved in it as it has been addressed earlier. Secondly, the problem of unemployment that has gone higher during the COVID pandemic, which we will be resolving by employing people in the small scale industries for the packaging and transportation of the plates. Now, talking about the usage of thermocol and plastic plates, which are non-biodegradable and are costlier than the stubble plates, we will replace them with the stubble plates made by our company. There is also a lack of technology in the rural area, therefore, we will enhance the village at large.
Now let's look into the steps we'll be following. Step number 1 will be that the small scale industry will buy stubble from the farmers and cow dung from the villagers. Step number 2 will be that the stubble will be processed to biodegradable plates using the technology. The machine will cost around 1 lakh. Step number 3 will be that our enterprise will buy the plates from the cluster and will further package it. Lastly, we'll then further sell the plates as a final product. Now let's understand the process required to convert stubble to biodegradable plates. That is, ladies and gentlemen, let's look deeper into the new technology that will be provided. Firstly, the stubble will be cut into smaller pieces via crop cutter. It'll then be washed and then we'll go through the process of bleaching and a biodegradable chemical will be added to it. We'll then boil it and we'll receive the pulp. The dough can be pressed to make plates. This new technology is invented by the students of IIT Delhi. Now let's look into the financial structure of our plan.
The cost of production of each plate for each cluster will be 40 paise per plate, which will include 25 paise for the cost of running the machinery and labor, 5 paise for the stubble and cow dung, which will be used to run the boiler as a clean source of energy. We will purchase the plates from each cluster at 80 paise per plate, assuring them a 50% profit. We will further spend 10 paise each for carriage inwards and packaging and 50 paise spent for miscellaneous expenses, amounting to a total of rupees 1.5 per plate. Further, we will also add 50 paise for carriage outwards and sell each plate at 3.5 rupees, making a profit of rupees 1.5 on each plate.
To make sure we complete the goal to transform the district to a smart village in this COVID-19 pandemic, we'll firstly make sure that we promote smart agriculture, as our district is highly dependent on agriculture. And paddy being the major crop, the district produces a lot of stubble. By buying stubble, plus the cow dung, the economy will also increase in the district and will ensure sustainability. Eliminating stubble burning, using the biomass energy, eliminating the use of non-biodegradable plates will provide the district with smart environment and smart energy. And as we grow, our company ensures to provide smart connectivity by providing 10 to 20% of our profit accordingly in the future in the process of upliftment of the district. We'll use the company's profit here as company social responsibilities. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, with smart agriculture, smart environment, smart energy, and smart connectivity, we will make sure to enhance the district as a smart village. Thank you.
Seems to be quite a feasible project. Nicely done. What I liked about this project is that it doesn't have any high-end investments and high-end this thing. Good idea about stubble burning, preventing people from stubble burning, and converting that into another resource. I like the concept. I like the concept quite well. It looks feasible, and the homework done is quite reasonably very good. You've gone into depth of the project to find out and give the costing per plate and whatever it is. So I think it's a fairly good presentation on all counts. Rapal.
Yeah, 2 questions. So how biodegradable are the plates?
Sure, sir. So I would like to answer that question. So the biodegradable plates will be made out of stubble, and because it has high silica content, it takes 2 months to decompose. But we'll be bleaching it and we'll be boiling it to get the pulp, and we'll also add a biodegradable chemical that will make the plate more decomposable, and hence it will get decomposed in around, if we like, in the soil in around 1.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question, why the 50% profit margin? Why not 40? Why not 60?
So we have researched thoroughly on the cost of biodegradable plates on Amazon, Flipkart, IndiaMart, and various other websites. They were selling at the same rate, and according to our estimates of cost of production, transportation, and on all other expenses, we have decided this rate.
So think about it. If you undercut a little bit, maybe not charging 50% profit, maybe 35% profit, you may increase your volume also, right? So think about it. I mean, when you come at a figure like 50% profit, there has to be a certain justification. Okay, otherwise it's a nice presentation. Really liked it, as Dr. Sarkar also said. But a couple of little bit of tweakings here and there, and maybe a little bit of clarification here and there can be really, make it really.
Sir, I'd like to say something here.
Yeah, sure. Carry on.
So the price which we have set is according to the retail. Now the price will vary according to the consumer of the quantity he is willing to purchase. The price depends upon the quantity.
Okay. So it's a function of quantity that you will make it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If someone buys more, you are going to give him a discount.
Yes, sir. That will be a wholesale rate then.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Are there any questions on the floor? Ms. Abatika Datta, you may ask a question.
Good morning. Once your primary goal of your business is completed, how do you plan on expanding your business? As in, what are your future prospects?
Currently, our market, what you call that, capturing will be around 40 to 50% of the total stubble. As during our initial years, we won't be able to capture the whole market. We'll encourage farmers to not to burn their stubble and use it to buy biodegradable, as it will generate further employment, because in COVID-19, many people have lost their employment. And in this sort of a project, rural women can also be included in the factories to work. So this will also solve the problem of unemployment and further expanding our market capital.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, participants, for your presentation. This next school is Birla High School for Boys.
Good morning, respected judges and my fellow competitors. We, the boys of Birla High School, have prepared this business idea from the district of Sundargarh. Our company's name is Infusion, which comes from innovation, future, and smart. This is a quick snapshot of the district. As you can see, the population according to census 2011 is about 20 lakhs. The district has around 1,779 villages, and it is very expansive. And about 43% of the total land is covered with forest. It is also subjected to runoff, leading to soil erosion and lack of water, even for drinking. It receives about 10.25 hours of sunlight during the summer and about 8.67 hours during the winter.
So we have divided our business plan into three parts. The first one is solar power plant. The market was valued at $50 billion in 2019, and it is expected to reach $200 billion by 2026, with a growth rate of 20%. We will be selling this electricity directly to the households at a rate lower than the market. The second one is solar power irrigation system. The technology, it is a technology which provides irrigation automatically to the crops. The market was valued at $1.21 billion in 2019, and it is expected to reach $2.05 billion by 2027 with a growth rate of 6.8%. We will help farmers in setting up this irrigation system, as most of the population depends on farming in Sundargarh. The third one is Li-Fi technology. Li-Fi is a bi-directional wireless system that transmits data via LED or infrared rays. The market was valued at $295 million in 2020, and it is expected to reach $4.1 billion by 2026 with a growth rate of 69.7%. We will provide Li-Fi services to all over the district like any other telecom company.
You must all be thinking that why have we chosen a solar powered plant as a part of our business plan? The most pertinent reason being it is a renewable energy resource, it preserves the natural ecosystem of the environment, and it is relatively cheaper than electricity provided by fossil fuels that is provided by the government. Our plan of selling a solar powered electricity will be based on the fact that currently the average rate of electricity in Sundargarh is rupees 6 to 7 per unit of consumption depending upon the usage and application. But we intend to provide eco-friendly electricity at an average rate of rupees 4.5 to 6 depending on the same parameters. Thus, the people of the region will be benefited ecologically and economically. It has various benefits and will help Sundargarh in numerous ways. Firstly, it will generate employment for the locals, thereby reducing the problem of unemployment in the region. Secondly, it reduces electricity expenditure of the common people, so therefore increasing the spending capacity of the people. Thirdly, due to the use of eco-friendly resources, the environment will be protected. Our second business plan will be solar powered irrigation system. This system is very cost effective. A study claimed that it saves 90% water more than the modern irrigation methods. Our selling concept will be that firstly, irrigation becomes easy, accurate, and practical with this method. Sunlight is used, so it is renewable too. 50% of the population relies on manual labor. So this system reduces human efforts too. It helps Sundargarh district in numerous ways, some of which being that it is subjected to runoff, leading to soil erosion and lack of water, even for drinking. So this technique will help in preserving water. This technique will help the farmer shifting from traditional ways of irrigation to smart and modern ways of irrigation, thus overall leading to a smart district.
Our next plan is revolving around Li-Fi technology. We chose this service because it is 10 times cheaper than normal Wi-Fi while still being 5 times faster. We want to provide cheap internet service to the people, and our long-term aim also involves setting up educational centers run by solar energy and Li-Fi technology. These centers will provide courses to various citizens like Microsoft, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, etc. And it will let the people, especially students, acquire various skills for the future endeavor. And as you know, due to the pandemic situation, online education is the new norm. Even this fest is happening online. So our Li-Fi service will make education during pandemic much more easier for the students, and it will open up various job opportunities for the people who want to impart these skills to the next generation.
Total cost of setting up the business is 1.5 crores. We will be generating this fund from the areas of private equity 33.3%, friends and relatives 3.3%, bank loans 20%, incubators and FIs 23.3%, and government grants 20%. We know that the cost of setting up the business is high, but after running it for a few years, the only cost we will be bearing would be the cost of maintenance, and the cost of producing electricity would be negligible, thus leading to an end of our presentation. Thank you.
Participants, please stop
Hello.
sharing.
Yeah. A new concept. Some very good research done out here, but the few questions that come in. You're all trying to basically use solar power for irrigation and also for Li-Fi. Li-Fi is a very new concept. I don't know if many people even have heard about Li-Fi. So it is not a happening thing yet, but maybe it will in the future holds promise. This is one. Now, number two is that your basic model of your thing is only about using solar energy for irrigation purposes. Now, I would like to ask you, when you have to do irrigation, right? And irrigation requires pumping of water through channels or whatever it is, right? You will require a huge amount of solar power energy because basically, see, normally what you see nowadays, very commonly, is solar power is used for lamps and other things which are the same. But to run motors or to run pumps or run irrigation systems, you will have to use a huge amount of solar power energy again to convert that. Have you done the cost dynamics of conversion from solar power to irrigation?
Sir, can I reply to that?
Yeah, please do.
Sir, we are not going to pump out the water. Like the technology is designed in such a way that it will sense the moisture present in the soil and it will pump out water from the water pumps themselves.
Yeah, but again, you have to have a pump to pump out the water,
yes.
Right? So what I'm going to say is for a solar power to run a tube light or a bulb is minimal. You can very little of them. But for you to start solar power for irrigation and motor pumps, it will require a huge amount of electricity. The concept is good. But I'm saying, have you done the cost dynamics? How much solar power you will require to do irrigation and the costs involved? That is what I'm going to say.
I would like to take this question. So according to our research, to run this solar power pump, we only need 6 hours of sunlight. And according to the snapshot,
I would like you to how much solar power panels, how much costing, how much megawatt of power it can generate. Okay. That is this is 6 hours are charging for what? I mean, you must give me the amount of solar panels required to generate how much electricity which can run irrigation system. That is to be researched. Having theoretically just saying solar power irrigation doesn't really make sense. Unless you have to have how much solar power is required to generate how much electricity to run the pumps for the irrigation. Tell me.
Sir, I would like to answer this question.
Tell me.
Sir, in total, the total capacity of which we will provide or generate solar electricity will be around 200 megawatt. And sir, we have calculated it. It is, sir, enough for it is enough for providing electricity, Li-Fi, and as well as for the solar powered irrigation system. And sir, at starting, we will not target the whole population as it is a big district, but slowly we will increase our capacity to produce it. But at the starting, all three can be run.
Okay, can you give me one example at present, which is using Li-Fi as a system of communication? Is it still theoretical or is it a practical project? See, what you have said is very new and innovative. What I want to say is that it also has to be practicable and practical for people to accept and move on. It's a new concept. It's a very new concept. I agree with you. I'm happy that you've done very good research, very nice research. But you see, any path-breaking new research being application into modern day life is, you have to have that bridge.
So it is practical. The first two smart villages of India, Akrund and Navan Nagar, are using Li-Fi technologies.
Which place once again, please?
Akrund and Navan Nagar.
Okay.
Sir, it is a
Li-Fi.
That's why we want to.
Yes, sir.
So it is a new concept. That's why we want to.
No, it is a new concept. I understand that. I appreciate that. What I'm saying that I want to know the technical feasibility of making it common to the persons. That's it. Okay. Okay. And how will the irrigation you will require definitely motors and pipes and other things. Who's going to bear the cost of all this irrigation material?
So the total cost for the farmers would be 2,000 rupees, including the government grants. We would be providing service for the setting of the system, and we will be having a profit margin in that.
No, you're going to do only the solar panels and the electricity. How about passing on that benefit to the farmers for irrigation? Who's going to do that part of it? You also?
Yes.
You're going to do the irrigation part also?
Yes.
Okay. Rapal, you're.
Yeah, I liked your presentation. It's quite innovative. But I think one missing piece somewhere in the puzzle, because you may have thought about it, but you have not articulated it properly. What is the role of batteries? Because if you're talking about Li-Fi, maybe the students will need it in the evening, right? So you need to have a provision for batteries somewhere, or maybe it's a cloudy day one day. So
batteries cost is included in the solar panel, in the solar system.
Yeah, so you have to be explicit about the batteries, because batteries play a very important role, so that it is not synchronous. That is, when there is sun, you can use it. When there is no sun, you cannot use it. You can break that cycle with batteries, right? So if you can include batteries in your project and provision for that, and I'm sure there are a lot of subsidies now available for batteries. And remember, this is the model Tesla also uses. Tesla has a big plant in Australia to capture the sunlight and use it. And they use it via the battery, right? So that it is not always synchronous, that when there is sun, you have to use it. If there is no sun, you cannot use it. You can break that cycle using batteries in this scheme. So bring in batteries in your financing. I think that will improve the feasibility of the project by a good extent. Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, judges, for your valuable contributions.
Are there any questions on the floor? Mr. Siddharth Maheshwari, you may ask a question.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate VHS for their presentation. Secondly, my question is that, right, like Li-Fi can be used only in the presence of sunlight. So how do you tend to counter, how do you tend to use Li-Fi on a cloudy day? Because, right, online schooling has to continue every day. It can't go like one day it's sunny and the other day it's rainy. So we won't have a online class on the rainy day. And secondly, where is your profit and employment generation motive?
Firstly, as so the judge said, we are going to use batteries, right? We are going to use batteries which will help in cloudy days. Like, we do not require the sun always to generate electricity.
An inverter too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And my answer to the
question, what was your second question again?
Yeah, my second question was, what is your motive? Like, what is your profit and employment generation motive?
So while setting up the solar power plant, we would require 30 workers per day, and we'll be providing them 500 rupees a day's wage. So we will be generating employment in this basis. And for the second part of business plan, more than 50% of the population depends on farming. So we cannot shift them from farming to any other source of business. So that's why we are providing them with solar power irrigation system. And the Li-Fi technology will also help to educate people. As you can see, that we will be opening education centers where we will teach courses like Adobe, Microsoft, CSS, and we will be employing those people in our company, giving them a belongingness of trust and value.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, participants, for that presentation. The next school is Birla Vidya Mandir, Nainital. Participants, please raise your hands. You can start your screen share.
Yeah.
If it's taking time, do you want us to share the screen?
No, we are sharing just a minute. Just a minute.
Okay.
So first of all, sorry for the delay. Now may I start?
Yes, you may start.
Yeah. Greetings to the house at large. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
So greetings to the house at large, honorable principals, judges, teachers, and my fellow participants. I, Kunal Kashyap, along with my teammates, Ishan and Agnivo from Birla Vidya Mandir Nainital, is here to present a plan that we predict will lead us to a sustainable development through reuse of sewage water. Water crisis. It's a major problem in our day-to-day lives, and especially in 21st century. As we head towards a worse climate changing state that is combined with uncontrolled.
Kunal Kashyap, you have to switch on your camera.
Actually, I have switched on my camera, but I think it's a network issue. So, sorry.
All right, you can continue.
Yeah, sorry. Water crisis is a major problem in our day-to-day lives as we head towards a worse climate changing state that is combined with uncontrolled resource pollution and exploitation. Today, we have been blessed with an opportunity to bring changes through our plan. To find out a way away from a crucial future, we have been given districts and a chance to express innovation for development using technology. Our district is Bardhaman, which has a high unemployment rate. And thus, we created Mahavir Nirman Pariyojana, Neer, which also signifies water. This being a single project, a single system is capable enough to bring changes. The term MNP, acronym to Mahavir Nirman Pariyojana, is basically a plan of reusing the very water that is wasted. At first, we need to look into the pertinent issues. And what are they? Water scarcity in Purva Bardhaman, water pollution on the Ganga basins, air pollution by thermal power plants, and at last, lack of electricity distribution to the lower classes in slum areas. We shall start with the two following important questions. Number one, what is MNP? And the second, how will it be executed? MNP primarily starts with the collection of water from sewages into a collection center. This impaired water will then be taken to the purification plant. The purification plant purifies this water, and the waste is at last directed to another central, later dumped to be decomposed. And we have chosen Bantala dumping ground situated in West Bengal to be there as our dumping ground. The MNP not only targets the purification of water, but will also open possibilities for hydropower production. Also, after getting the water collected and purified, it is planned to direct to some micro hydropower plants that would be supplying essential power needs to the entire plant itself and adjoining some areas also. There are provisions to store the purified water into a safe tank inside the plant, which later will be used for supplying to the households in the locality and nearby areas. As this collected impaired water has already produced potable water and electricity, now we plan to reuse it for farming. Why for farming? Well, the basic plan is to create a circle of use and reuse of water. Small canals adjoining the local farm fields will be joined with the help of supply tanks around the micro hydropower plant. This will fulfill the need for irrigation and reduce dependency on monsoon in a geography like India. We have plans to supply the purified water to the adjoining locality households through tanks constructed at different places around the power plant. The sewage lines will help the municipal corporations as well, and municipal corporations are planned to be directed to the purification plant. This creates a cycle of use, renewal, and reuse. Not only we are conserving every ounce of used water, but we are also reducing marine pollution, preventing water scarcity, preventing air pollution by replacing thermal power plants. Unemployment being one of the worrying issues these days will also be reduced through the plan MNP. Various sections of the plant, right from purification to micro hydropower plants and from irrigation management to water supply management, everything will require manpower and smooth functioning. We plan to employ local residents to manage different sectors of the plan MNP. Dear audience, the plan MNP has been decided and yes?
Please wrap up.
Yeah, for sure. Just a minute. Dear audience, the plan MNP has been decided in such a way that it proves to be cost effective, followed by laying out a foundation of sustainable development. We hope that this will be able to meet all the major and minor targets that we have set. And we believe that it will also have Society 5.0 as it's a Japanese concept that a human-centered society that balances economic advancement with the resolution of social problems by a system that highly integrates cyberspace and physical space. At last, I would just like to say a financial plan. We, the students of BVM, believe that financial plan cannot be explained in a piece of paper or in a PDF. So I am telling you our financial plan verbally. Our amount, which is approximately 2 crores, will be
You have to wrap up.
financed. Yeah, just a minute. It will be financed from many sectors. Like partners will provide 1 crore, members will provide 30 lakhs, West Bengal government grant 50 lakh, contribution 10 lakh, and bank loan 10 lakh. Finally, we are open for questions. Thank you.
Rajneesh, you may ask your questions.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Once again, yeah. Hello. Yeah. I have a few questions. Your presentation was good, but I have a few questions. Your district is Bardhaman, Purva Bardhaman.
Yes.
Right? And you are trying to then dump your waste in Bantala dumping ground.
Yes, sir.
You know the difference between Bantala dumping ground and Bardhaman, the feasibility of the project? Because Bantala and Bardhaman are not nearby.
Yes, sir.
Bantala dumping ground is somewhere in Kolkata, eastern part of Kolkata, and Bardhaman is a district outside. So here there's a piece of, I think, non-feasibility.
So actually, it's not one power plant, if you let me say. It's actually a full system that's ongoing. It's not just one power plant that can handle all the water, sewages, and produce hydroelectricity enough for Bardhaman district. We are making a area-wide system. So while building that, we are also covering the outskirts of Bardhaman because that's required. We need land and we can't just snatch land from people. That's why we are also using lands from outskirts for the development of Bardhaman. And that builds a bridge of rest houses and rest gaps that we can use to transplant all the waste material to outskirts of Kolkata.
Your project is very theoretical. Do you have the cost dynamics of your water treatment or whatever thing? Because basically, treatment of sewage is definitely a good subject. Even of sewage and extracting water out of it, which is potable or reusable, definitely is a very nice concept. But the magnitude of the thing, what you have said, project, is I think not very feasible. You see, the concept is very good. What I'm going to say is wastewater treatment, sewage treatment, conversion of water, sewage water into drinking or potable or irrigation water is definitely a very good concept. But your connect, I think, was not there. You see, the reason one. Number two is that at certain points, when the moment you said Bardhaman and Bantala, basically you should have some dumping around nearby because you see, taking it from a pipeline from one district to down to 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers down, will not be suitable for your purpose because there will be extra additional cost, which will be again a burden on the system. Here we're trying to minimize our costs to get maximum benefits. We're trying to say whatever you do. See, your finance, whatever you're saying, projecting 2 crores, 10 crores, whatever it is, fine, someone will give it. But that has to be a rational thing which is cost effective also.
Sure.
I don't know if you have ever seen a sewage conversion plant. Have you seen one? I mean, I have seen a couple of them. So there are practical things not considered in your project, presentation. But Apal, your questions.
Yeah, this sounds like a very government kind of initiative, right? This is what the municipalities and the corporations are supposed to do. Will a private sector be in a good position to execute this kind of a project?
So to be honest, yes, there would be, but we were planning government because as Sir said, yes, it was cost effective and we should equally participate. Development is not something only public should overtake. It should be what government should also include. And that's not only development of public mindset, that's also introducing a concept to the government governing system, so that it can be implemented in other regions also. Means a public company can't just go on expanding business to a whole state, but a government can.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Are there any questions? Mr. Ajni, sorry, Mr. Shashank Sharma, you may ask your question.
Yeah, it was a nice presentation, but you did not mention the main thing only. What is your revenue model?
Sorry?
What is your revenue model?
See, actually, the thing is, we are creating the power plants, as Sir said, we are actually modifying the power plant, purification plants. So while we are modifying the purification plants, we are not adding extra stuffs to it to make it highly costly. We are just adding micro hydropower plants because see, a normal hydropower plant takes a dam, but micro hydro plants can be used just with a 12 feet wide canal. Okay, that's why. That's our model. And in between and 12 micro hydropower plants surrounding it.
I'm asking a revenue model. How will you earn the money?
Can I answer? Excuse me, can I answer? So when we will supply electricity to nearby areas and water to nearby farms, then we will surely charge them with money. And our main motive is not to earn profit. Our main motive is just to earn a little profit, which helps us to survive. That's why. We'll earn our money from there.
Thank you for that presentation, Alicia. You wanted to say something?
Before we proceed, participants, please make sure not to exceed the time limit or else you will be downmarked. Also, all the participants are required to switch on their videos for the entire duration of the event.
The next school is none other than the host school, Mahadevi Birla World Academy.
Can I share the screen now?
Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, I'll start. A very good morning to one and all present here. A renowned Buddhist university in the ancient kingdom of Magad, Nalanda, is a historic site located close to Patna. It has a significant importance as it has been declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. And we want to upgrade the condition of the workers and artisans so that its glory remain intact. Despite of being a well-known district, some of its villages are still backward. We at Kalakunj aim at making not only a smart village, but also promote the hard work of the artisans and be the first choice of customers and build a long-lasting relationship with them. We aim at upgradation of technology so that people can communicate and connect better, especially during these hard times. Kalakunj offers a wide range of products, starting from saris, tablecloths, to masks and its covers, which is the need of the hour. All these products are available on our website. Since we are a small business, we will be receiving government aid via the NSIC and DIC schemes. We will provide them with updated products according to the new trends that take place. And our products will also be customizable according to the customer preferences. We know that in these hard times, people can't go out for shopping, but they can shop from their homes. Our products are available on Amazon as well as our very own website with reasonable pricing. We will provide them with home delivery services where we will keep the staffs who are vaccinated and who are following all the necessary COVID protocols. It means that there will be a zero contact delivery feature.
Our products hold traditional value and are customizable, giving credit to our labor-intensive method of production. Our prices are kept reasonable and our per unit cost is significantly low. The products shall be shipped from the manufacturers to the secondary suppliers, from where they shall be delivered individually to the customers. An elaborate system of transportation enhances the quality of service provided. Our extensive marketing strategy also includes a unique advertising system. We shall be using both online and physical media to promote our products. We plan to make our presence felt by regular social media posts and pamphlets in the newspapers. Coming to critically analyzing our company, let's explore the SWOT analysis. Firstly, talking about our strengths, apart from establishing ourselves in a diverse and potential market with a low capital investment and exclusive products, our uniqueness also lies in utilizing local talents and providing them with employment, as well as the correct value of their work. We also aim at empowering women through handicrafts. Owing to the infant nature of our cooperative, we recognize our weaknesses in terms of having a sluggish market due to the pandemic and at the same time our lack of practical experience in mass production. Although we foresee these hindrances, the interesting feature of our company lies in the opportunities that lie ahead of us. We have an all-time high demand of online support, bridging the gap between the producers and the consumers along with the availability of skilled labor. Well, a great man once said, when you have the threats, you have the targets, and we have considered the potential threats to our venture. It shall be difficult to penetrate into an existing market along with the decrease in purchasing power due to COVID-19.
We believe that creating a strong business and building a better world are not conflicting goals. They are both essential ingredients for long-term success. We at Kalakunj strive to improve Nalanda as a smart district. Our initial plans include providing the basic facility of electricity through solar panels to all the houses of the area so that the residents live a proper life and the artists can continue with their work as per their convenience, even when the sun goes down. Health is wealth, and we value the health of our artists along with their families. As a result of which, we will be providing health and medical assistance to our workers and their families. We will also be providing education to the children of our artists, as well as training to our artists to ensure that our tradition of handicrafts remain alive for generations to come. To make Nalanda a real smart district, we will be establishing Wi-Fi network all over the region. Next is the glimpse of our financial plan. From our budget, 6 lakh is being dedicated to fixed cost, which includes rent of land, which will be on lease, machinery setup, salary to our permanent staff, payment of loans, as well as advertising and promotion expense. 4,75,000 has been dedicated to variable cost, which includes cost of raw material, delivery and shipping cost, as well as salaries to our casual laborers. For the initial phase of our cooperative, our estimated production is of 500 units per month, with the approximate cost of rupees 95,000 per month. Moving on to our source of finance, our owners fund includes share of members of our cooperative society, as well as us personally financing the cause to ensure that there is no financial burden on our members solely. Our borrowed fund includes loans from banks.
Please wrap up. You're running out of time.
Yeah. Our borrowed fund include loans from banks as per the microcredit scheme under MSME loan. This was Kalakunj, presented to you by Mahadevi Birla World Academy. Thank you.
Judges, you may ask your questions.
Yeah, a good presentation. But here I have noticed one thing. Basically, you are trying to convert artisans and their work into a brand and to upgrade and promote local talent. This is your primary mission, right? So you are not developing anything new. You are actually trying to help them, support them, give them more help for them to do whatever they're doing in a better way, right? For making either bags or artifacts or statues or whatever it is, you are actually trying to see, there may be an organized lot. You're trying to get them organized and try to put them together and sell the products to social platforms and make a better revenue, which helps everybody. Am I right? Okay. So, okay, it's a good enough project. How much do you think you're going to, have you been you've seen how much you're going to spend? How much you're going to earn on this?
We plan for per month, we plan on spending 95,000 per month, and our expected revenue is of 1,50,000 per month.
Okay, and how do the other people benefit? The people, the artisans, the craftsmen, the people who are actually doing this thing, how do they benefit?
So a share of...
You have said about corporate social responsibility. So basically you are trying to help them earn also a lot. You are making a project in which you are actually taking their products and giving it to the market outside. You have been the interface between the producer and the buyer or seller. Tell me.
So we will be sharing our profit with the artisans as well, so that they too get a share, they too get the correct value of the goods that they are producing. So apart from providing them with all kinds of advancement as well as help, we will also be providing them the correct value of the work that they are doing, which I guess is not being provided by others in the current situation.
Okay. Paul, your question.
Yeah, you know, the Nalanda is a special place in international circuit, right? And I'm kind of surprised that exports and targeting the Buddha circuit is completely absent in your presentation. Is it because of COVID or you have overlooked it?
No, sir. Having our physical stores as well as exports, it is a part of our future plan. We cannot have it right now, seeing the current COVID scenario. So it's a part of our future prospect.
But while it is a COVID is a threat, it is also an opportunity, right? Because abroad there is a significant demand for products from that region, especially in that so-called that Buddhist tourism sector.
Buddhist, yes.
Yes, sir. But owing to the infant nature of our cooperative society, we wish to first concentrate here, and then we would be taking the step ahead towards exporting.
We should have mentioned it somewhere. Okay, I thought that it should be there, but kind of felt missing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions on the floor? Miss Navya Reshamwala, you may ask a question.
I just had one question. You have mentioned that through your CSR activities, you want to establish solar panels as well as Wi-Fi. How do you plan on establishing such high investment projects just by selling handicrafts and like small scale but through a small scale industry?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. First of all, we are firstly planning to invest. Seeing the current scenario of Nalanda, we are first trying to develop it. For our first year, we do not have a lot of profit expectations. We are solely concentrating on the fact of developing the place and creating a zone from where we can have proper business. So and we will also be getting government aid. So there won't be a lot of investment from our end. We will also be getting government aid like MSME schemes. We are getting loans as well as we are getting government aid. The Wi-Fi setup that we are doing it as per the MSME scheme 3 of technology upgradation. So we are getting help. Plus we are also going for investment. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for your presentation, participants. The next school is St. Xavier's Collegiate School.
Are we visible is the presentation on? Are we visible or not? The presentation visible.
Yeah, so can you all hear me clearly?
Yeah, you can start.
Good morning, all the respective judges and the other participants. Today, we will present to you a business plan for the region of Birbhum, which is known as the land of red soil. It has the presence of culturally rich and economically monetizable places like Shantiniketan. Next slide, please.
So coming to what our business plans are, firstly, we intend to set up small-scale super shops all over the district. This would not only help us in generating profits, but at the same time would also provide employment to many people. Secondly, we aim to develop cottage and textile industry all over the district. The sole purpose of developing these industries is to bring out the talent of these natural craftsmen and women in Birbhum at a much bigger scale. But at the same time, we also intend to provide employment for those who have lost their jobs in these dreadful times. Thirdly, we would look at outsourcing local supplies, with Shantiniketan nearby, which is the home to many master craftsmen and women of Bengal. We aim to collaborate with the local craftsmen and women of Shantiniketan to supply their handcrafts to us so that we can provide these master crafts a larger market by putting it up for sale online. Lastly, as we all know that Birbhum is the land of red soil, and it would be quite disgraceful on our part if we do not make full use of it. Thus, in the long run, we intend to develop cotton industries not only to maximize our profits, but at the same time to increase the employment level of Birbhum. Next slide, please.
Okay, so coming to the implementation, right? Now, the most important factor to consider here is the people we are employing are villagers, and they probably haven't been culturalized, localized, and westernized and liberalized, right? So to begin with, we would like to train this youth. We are recruiting into making craft work and also making designer clothes, right? We want to train and educate them, and at the same time, the delivery boys who will be using for superstores, they need to be taught customer ethics so that they do not embarrass us in front of customers as well. And the people managing super shops will be given proper training as well to influence customers into buying, since the villages as well. And now we will be implementing incentivization methods and business strategies to make the company competitive and ensure higher profits. Now, not only that, but we will be tying up with the locals and the heads of the villages and have their produce redirected and sold at our stores for a negotiated price, as well as coordinate with the local guides and peoples and ensure that all the tourists, since Birbhum is a big tourist destination, right? All the tourists are redirected towards our stores and they can buy whatever they want from there. Now we will scan and survey a piece of land, buy the best possible piece of land, and based on factors such as tourist areas and conveyance costs, we will hire recruitment agents as well and set up solar panels and windmills, as we do not want to harm the environment as well and incur repetitive electricity costs.
A unique selling points. Textile and handicraft industries. The district provides us with its rich heritage, a variety of talented natural craftsmen and women whose works are renowned all over the world. Delivery beyond the district lines. Scared of getting infected if you go to the crowded local markets to buy the necessities? Don't worry, we've got you. We bring to you the facility of online delivery of all your necessities. Just select what you want and it's at your doorstep within 12 hours. To add more to your excitement, we will not charge any delivery or on orders above 500 rupees. Sustainability and long-term growth. People are willing to spend on high-quality crops rather than purchasing bad crops at low rates. So if you can provide quality produce in the market, you'll never fall short on buyers. Environment friendly. Our business is environmentally friendly as we will set up solar panels and windmills to produce energy, which are renewable sources.
Now coming to the finances, right? Let's talk numbers. Now, what are the costs we will be incurring? Now, the stores will be setting up, they require an investment between 10 to 15 lakhs, and this fund will be spread over various institutions. Then there'll be product ranges and teaching the locals. And since 91% of all retail stores are still generated in retail stores as compared to online stores, it's absolutely imperative that we give all our customers the perfect experience, right? So this would cost us around 5 lakhs per institution as well. Then the textile industries, which we are talking about, right? Our ring spinning machines, which we would have to set up for the villagers, they would cost around 25 lakhs, and fabric laser cutting machines can cost about 4.5 lakhs, 10.5 lakhs, depending on the scale of the range, depending on the scale of the textile industry we're setting up. And the marketing, which includes influencer marketing as well, will cost around 7 or 8 lakhs, as well not only marketing within the district, but outside as well. Now, there are a lot of ways to earn profits, and this is a very growing sector. Yeah, so since it's a very growing sector, we expect to make the cost in 5 to 10 years.
Coming to our marketing strategies, firstly, we would like to publish advertisements in the front page of a well-known daily. Distribution of paper pamphlets will also be included in our marketing strategy. Secondly, we would like to collaborate with local celebrities like Satapa Biswas, well known for skills in cultural arts, and also with Sana Bajpai, who is a well-known Bengali singer. Our target market for the super shops would be the working class, old couples and families, and our target market, and for employment purposes, we would be keen to hire more hardworking youths who are ready to give the 100% in each and every attempt. Lastly, our target audience for handmade crafts would be youth and fashion influencers. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the judges and each one of you present here for being so patient while hearing our speech, for hearing our pitch. Now we are open to questions. Thank
you. A fairly good presentation, but you're mainly into being a source in which you connect the person's manufacturing to the person's buying. That is the only area. But is there any room for development of the crafts or whatever it is?
So we will be training people, right? So the villagers there, they are very, very skilled, right? Since it's a place for primary tourist destinations and it has Shantiniketan as well. Shantiniketan is known for the villagers and the outsource and the local craft things. So then...
No, I understand that. I've lived in Shantiniketan for 4 years. I know what something is.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is, your project is mainly, you're trying to connect the seller and the buyer, but any improvement, any improvement of quality or the thing, or some benefits to the person's manufacturing at the ground level.
Yeah. So the people who are manufacturing at the ground level, like, they actually face a problem with the current markets because of the pandemic. So we provide them with the larger market base, not only within the district, but outside as well. We provide them with a platform for them to have their sales increased and maximized, and then in turn we profit as well.
And to add to that, with the sales increasing of with one person seeing the sales increased of another person, he will also be motivated to take up cultural arts and also would like to develop skills in making handicrafts because he finds that he can generate profit in this.
Okay, your question.
Yeah. So as you know, most of you probably have visited Shantiniketan. There is an existing structure, right? Exit local hearts and stuff. So why not leverage some of those instead of kind of reinventing the wheel?
So we will be tying up with those. Sorry, Susan.
Sorry, I'm sorry, interrupted. I'm saying same thing because basically I've been in Shantiniketan for 4 years and I have know what they're talking about. And you're right, because all of it is already there. You only have to maybe make a better marketing, maybe. That's it. Sorry.
Exactly. So there is already an existing infrastructure, right? And you can kind of improve on it instead of kind of creating another parallel setup. So that was, have you considered that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So, but then given the current crisis, right, Shantiniketan isn't manufacturing and selling what it needs to, right? And so the current setup isn't built for a current crisis which we're going through. And for to undergo the current changes, there needs to be proper changes in the implementation of the village itself. And we need to restructure it to ensure that all the people in the village essentially get what they deserve, right? Because they are very, very talented people. And it's not fair to restrict them to just arts, but it's better to provide them with the larger market so that they actually get what they deserve.
So you are trying to be more efficient in connecting the people who are good artisans with the consumers who need those products. So
yes,
if you can in between kind of introduce a kind of a certification of authentication that this product is developed and built in Birbhum, then that will kind of add to that initiative, isn't
So
it?
that is one of our future plans. Like after we develop faith in the people of living in the district of Birbhum, we are planning to expand our business beyond the district boundaries, as my friend Harsh rightfully said in our unique selling points.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions on the floor? Ms. Disha Agarwal, you may ask your question.
Right. Thank you. You all aim to set up solar panels and windmills in the initial stage. Like the minimum cost for setting up a windmill is 1 crore, and for setting up a solar panel is around 75,000 for 1 kilowatt. And secondly, you also aim at setting up small scale shops, which will target tourists at large. So how is your plan feasible at a very large context?
Firstly, the plan of developing solar panels and windmills is not our initial plan. It is our future plan. Like after we develop a certain like type of goodwill in the district, we aim to do that. And can you please repeat your second question?
Second question was that you all
ask one question.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, participants, for that presentation. Last but not least, we have Sushila Birla for girls.
I hope my screen is visible to all of you all.
Yes, it is visible.
A very good morning to one all present here. Today, Sushila Birla Girls School presents to you the Sustainable Business Plan Sterilize, a sanitizer industry in the west, in the district of West Champaran, Bihar. Over to Anisha.
So West Champaran is an administrative district in Bihar surrounded by hilly regions. The soil found in West Champaran is highly fertile. The Bhangar soil, it is an old alluvial soil, is found in this region, and it supports the growth of sugarcane, which is a badai crop or an autumn crop. So the economy of this district is mainly dependent on agriculture or the primary activity, since there are around 1,483 rural villages and most of the people are dependent on agriculture. There are very few established industries and they are mainly related to rice, wheat and handicrafts. There is only one sugar mill which is there and that is used to produce sugar. So there is a large potential to develop industries to exploit the production of sugarcane. Over to Sakshi.
So our business plan is to basically produce sanitizers from sugarcane. During the pandemic, the demand for sugar, the usage of sanitizers has drastically increased. And also the major the major component for producing sanitizers is ethanol, which is procured mainly from two processes: dry milling and fermentation of crops like corn and sugarcane. Sugarcane being abundantly found in the district of Champaran is our primary motive is to optimally utilize its cultivation and produce sanitizers. Sanitizers consist of about 75 to 85% of ethanol. So our aim is to produce ethanol and further use them for the production of sanitizers. Next slide, please. So now there's a lot of vacant area available in Champaran. So we propose to set up factories in Kumarbagh. Also, this region is very well connected due to the presence of railways, buses and trucks. So that would solve the problem of transportation. Even workforce would not be a problem because most of the people in this region are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. So sufficient workforce is available.
So employment opportunities, since large number of people are engaged in agriculture, so there's disguised unemployment there. So by setting up factories, we help to solve the problem of disguised unemployment and unemployment. It will also act as an additional source of income for the families are only engaged in agriculture. Setting up of industries lead to modernization of this underdeveloped region. Also, the byproduct can be used to generate heat, electricity, and it as an organic fertilizer for the soil in that area. So it is also beneficial to the environment. It also helps to develop other sectors such as infrastructure, transport, and communication system. Hygiene. So during this COVID pandemic, hygiene is of utmost importance. So by producing sanitizers, it helps to take care of that problem. It is also cheap and it is a made in India product.
Long-term sustainability. So all of us know how the COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge impact on the minds of people. And with so many people dying all across the country, as well as in the district of West Champaran, people became extremely conscious about their hygiene. So even if this COVID situation improves in the near future, the demand of sanitizers would remain high because people would be precautious for their healthy being. Also, there are a large number of villages in West Champaran, and people in these rural areas would obviously prefer to use the products which are made in their own district rather than importing goods from outside, not only because of the reduced costs, but also because of the close relation and the trust which they would share with the producers. And thus, these district-made hand sanitizers from sugarcane would be effective in the long run. Coming to the costs and benefits, our costs would include the cost for fermentation tanks to produce ethanol, the cost of land per acre, which in West Champaran is very cheap as compared to the present day high prices in other parts of the country. Our other costs would include cost of sugarcane and raw materials and wages and salaries of laborers, all of which would not be very high because the raw materials are available in abundance in West Champaran as sugarcane is one of the main crops cultivated there. And since the labor force is available in abundance, that wouldn't be a problem for us. Other costs would include transportation costs. Our major part of revenue would be obtained from the sale of sanitizers, whose price would vary depending upon the quantity and quality that the customers would buy. Thank you.
We're open to questions now.
Judges, you may ask your questions.
Yeah, a good presentation, all of you. I just wanted to know a few things about the sugarcane industry. What does sugarcane industry do? It just produces sugar, and sugar is used for how many things? In today's world, India imports sugar from, I think, 5-6 countries in the world. We also export sugar to maybe Indonesia, but what I'm saying is we mainly import. So when you do want to make, you're trying to make sanitizers out of sugarcane ethanol, right? This is maybe mostly due to the COVID. In the COVID scene, we have seen a very huge sale of sanitizers globally and everywhere. But sugar is also used for other things. You know, we use sugar for food. We also use sugar for ethanol, which is used as maybe a fuel additive, right? So why was it that you just thought about sanitizers only?
So I answer to this question. So like you said, India is the second largest consumer as well as the producer of sugar after Brazil. And in West Champaran, there's abundant sugar and only 2 sugar mills or 1 sugar mill is present over there, which is used to convert the sugar cane into sugar, which can be exported or used. So the potential to use the sugar cane for a variety of purpose is still present because the large amount of sugar cane goes unused. So we thought that by using this sugarcane to produce sanitizers, the amount of sanitizers that the state has to import from other places will reduce. Already the region is very backward, so they need money to use in more other areas to provide more facilities and set up industries so that they can be modernized. So by producing sanitizers in that region, it will not only increase the employment opportunities or modernization, but it will also provide hygiene. Because in a COVID situation, the demand of sanitizers also increases. So there's uncertainty that whether we get sanitizers from other states or not. So this also offers a stable supply of sanitizers in that region. So that is why we thought of this concept.
What happens when the COVID scenario, when there's no COVID in the country? COVID is basically, it came as a sudden, since 2019, we didn't know about COVID. COVID 2019, December, October, November, December, we started getting COVID, and we had a first and second wave of COVID. And we may be having a third wave somewhere, this thing, but it is, we don't know how long it's going to be there. But if you take the picture of the Spanish flu wave, which was 100 years back and now, we expect that maybe in a year or so, we will not be having COVID in the amount that we have now. Maybe it'll be a sub-endemic thing, which basically we'll take a vaccine like a flu vaccine or whatever it is, and we'll be able to get back to our normal lives, hopefully in the next 1.5 to 2 years. So you should be having an alternative method. The sugarcane that you're taking, ethanol that you're making, should be used for other things also besides sanitizers. I mean, so that more if there's not a need for sanitizers anymore. I mean, the spurt of sanitizers has been had because of COVID. I agree with you. Now everyone has got sanitizers everywhere. You can see on my table, you can see on my car everywhere. What I want to say is the need is there right now, but will there be a need in say in 3 years, 5 years from time? So you're trying to build up an industry. So we think about long-term feasibility goals also.
So
right? There's a huge demand for sanitizers. That is true.
So sorry to interrupt, but like you said, the long-term sustainability plan. So like once we get it like diabetes, we are always careful about the sugar amount, what we eat and what we not. In similar situation, we have COVID right now and it is widespread. So people will always be fearful because of the huge impact it had. Be it 10 years from now, people will always consider their hygiene to be of utmost importance. So for that, I think long-term sustainability will be there, but also to offer alternative solutions. There's a technology in Brazil that is right now that is used to convert ethanol to a fuel, which can be used to drive cars and trucks. So that can also be used. However, the cost is very high. So after we make profits, we think that can be used to reduce renewable sources of energy to drive trucks, because the present prices of petroleum are very high. Means it is around 100. So and petrol is imported from other regions. So it will also help to stabilize the price of petrol in the near future.
That's a better, I think, thing to look at. We should have a multi-pronged facet instead of only one focusing on only sanitizers. Very good. Thank you. Dr. Paul, your turn.
Yeah, good presentation. You said something about disguised unemployment, right? What is that?
So basically, when more people are working on a piece of land than required, for example, I just need 3 workers, but 6 workers are working on it. So the amount of work or the effectiveness of the work is reduced. Also, it also leads to increased costs because of that. So I think disguised unemployment is not good because it's basically the employment which we are hiring, which is not needed. It is not needed in agriculture, that kind of.
Why do people hire then? Somebody is paying, right? So why should they pay if it is not, they are not needed?
I guess because of the low wages, because the workers, when there's huge demand of workers, the price which is offered to them automatically reduces. People are willing to work for less.
than needed. And also, as people expand, sometimes people become more sluggish and they do not work that effectively. So in that way, the workers I guess keep on accumulating.
Okay. So sugarcane is devastating on water tables. And the government of India is now giving subsidies to farmers to make them move away from sugarcane. So from a sustainability angle, sugarcane is not a good idea. Maybe during the COVID period, as you rightly pointed out, it's probably will serve some purpose, but in the longer term, from a sustainability point of view, it is absolutely devastating on the environment because it reduces the water table. And the government is willing to give around 8,000 rupees per acre to the farmers just to make them shift to another crop. In fact, Niti Aayog has a policy on that. Okay, so yeah, sugarcane is fine, but I mean, the project is fine, but from a sustainability long-term point of view, there are certain negative sides of sugarcane, which you could have mentioned. Other than that, it's fine. Good presentation. Thank you.
Are there any questions on the floor? Ms. Disha Agarwal, you may ask your question.
So there are already existing sanitizer companies already, there are already there in the market, right? So how do you aim at, they are already existing and your company will be a new one. So how do you manage to cope up with the market competition in this case?
We are mainly aiming at District of West Champaran and Bihar, where they have to import sanitizers from other areas. So if we produce sanitizers in that area, the amount of imports will reduce. It will also lead to industrialization and modernization. Since we're aiming at a particular district, we are not looking at market competition because no other person in UP is producing sanitizers using ethanol or which is taken from sugarcane. So it will be a new concept in Bihar as a whole.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, participants, for that presentation. This brings us to the end of our event. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks to all present here on behalf of Mahadevi Birla World Academy. First and foremost, I'd like to extend my gratitude to our honorable judges who spared time from their busy schedules to grace this occasion. Your guidance has encouraged and enlightened all of us. I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants of District for their hard work and effort and for making this memorable event with their impressive business acumen. We wish them all the very best. I'm immensely grateful to our respected chairperson, Ma'am Mohta, Principal Ma'am Shah, Administrator Mr. Ruria, Secretary Mr. Ganeriwala, Vice Principal Ma'am Ghosh, coordinators, our teachers, and the entire technical department for giving us this opportunity and inspiring us every step of the way. My sincere gratitude goes towards the event co-director Nilisha Das and the technical team for ensuring a smooth flow of our event. The results will be announced on the 16th of August via our Instagram page. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.